So, what was the book about?
I'm so passionate about this, obviously.
That, I guess I'll speak for me because I don't know how your mind works.
It's like Ken. His job is beach. He had to wait on me to finish it for us to do the video.
I finished it first. Anyways. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt.
I'm Shawnee.
And today we're going to be talking about the third secret project from Brandon Sanderson this year is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Mm-hmm. Grand scheme of things, I think this is my second favorite so far. Two out of the three.
Same.
Yeah. What were your thoughts? Tell me about your reading experience.
So overall, my reading experience was a lot of fun. I read this after you were like 3/4 of the way through. We've been having a lot of unfortunate life happening, and I was in the biggest reading slump I've been in. I just really enjoyed this getting me back into reading to kind of get me back into the flow of things after taking a little bit of a break from reading. But yeah, it was very unique is I think how I worded it. It was fun and unique. What about you?
I agree. It was definitely unique. I don't think I've read anything, or like this didn't remind me of anything that I've read before.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's unique. It's not like sometimes you're reading a story and it kind of makes you think of another character from a different book that you've read, or another like plot point, or just a city, or just some other small detail. There was really none of that except for that. This isn't really a spoiler. We'll do some spoiler-free discussion right now, and we'll give fair warning for when we do jump into spoilers, just in case you haven't read it yet and you've delayed your reading of it like I did.
Well, should we talk about like what the book is about?
Yeah, go ahead and tell them the plot.
What was the book about?
It's about Yumi and the Nightmare Painter.
All right, okay, now let's get into spoilers. So Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is about, there are two main characters, Yumi and a man named Nakaro.
Okay, I didn't remember his real name. I call him Painter because that's what Yumi calls him mostly.
Well, that's also what the narrator refers to him most of the time.
Yeah, that's
like the only time that you hear his name is whenever one of his friends that knows him well in the story.
It's like Ken. And his job is beach.
Sure, I guess. So Yumi is I believe she's like 13 or 14,
yeah,
maybe.
young.
A young girl who is known as, in her world, a Yoki Hijo, I believe is how you would pronounce it.
I think in my mind I said Yoki Iho.
Well, that's because
it's the Hispanic.
We live in Texas and you've been surrounded by Spanish-speaking people.
Yeah, Iho is like
time.
son.
I believe she is a Yoki Hijo because I don't think it's supposed to be Spanish. I don't know.
It's supposed to be like more Japanese leaning. Y'all tell us if you can do the pronunciation things in the comment. Let us know how
maybe
you
we should just find the audiobook and see how it's supposed to be pronounced.
You know what? That's smart. Later.
Maybe later. So she is a Yoki Hijo, and she is a kind of a mediator between her people, like the people in her city or village, and the spirits that they not worship, but they basically bring their requests to the Yoki Hijo, and she does a ritual of stacking stones that is like a custom for her world, and the spirits will respond and either grant their request or deny, and that's kind of what she does. Who she is. She's been doing the same thing for as long as she can remember. She was chosen for this from a very young age, and she basically travels the world from region to region, just presenting herself before the people of those regions to have their requests heard and then presented to the spirits.
Yeah.
So that's Yumi, and then Painter is Painter is an occupation. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like he is. So there are these in Painter's world. There are nightmares that are like not the dreams that you think of, like the terrible dreams. There are like physical manifestations of fear, I guess, incarnate.
Yeah, basically, it's like how you would imagine if you ever, like as a kid or even as an adult, we've probably all done this. You're trying to go to bed and you see a shadow or something like in your room. and automatically your mind's like, it's a monster kind of thing. And you turn on the light and it's like your jacket hanging on the door or something like that. But thinking if you turned on the light, but it was actually, it was really a monster, something kind of like that.
So there's illustrations in the book, and the illustrations are great, by the way. They're incredible. All of the Secret Project illustrations are good. But they're basically described as just a deep blackness with white specks for eyes. That's pretty much the best way to describe them. They're all like a little different, but a painter's job is to attempt to contain the nightmare by doing a painting. So they carry around physical, like ink, paintbrushes, canvas in their bag, and when there is a nightmare reported, they will go and attempt to contain it. And they do so by painting what they see in the nightmare. So ideally, it's like if you see like this nightmare, like if you're looking at a nightmare and you see a garden of some sort. So the painter would paint a garden. If he looked at another one and he saw a knight, like a royal knight, he would paint a knight. And those paintings would then begin to minimize and then eventually contain the nightmare, saving the day and keeping the neighborhood safe and whatnot.
And I know that sounds like oddly like very specific, but this is like in the first or second, like those first couple chapters of the book, this is revealed. So I wouldn't consider any of that part of like the painting being like a big reveal of the book.
No, that's just kind of how like, I guess the magic system works.
Yeah, I would call it the magic system.
Yeah. And then as the book goes on, there are a lot of twists and turns and things you don't understand happening. And the more that you read, the more that you want to find out what is happening.
What you told me was your experience with the book, for me, right?
Yeah. So I guess now we can get into our individual experiences, and I guess I'll piggyback off of that. Yeah, the more that I read, the deeper the notion of what the heck is going on. I need to know what happened and why it happened and the detailed science behind it. I knew there was a chance that I wouldn't get all of my questions answered. I think overall I was pleased with the resolution of everything. But the journey to get there was filled with a legal pad. The journey to get there was a legal pad full of questions that overflowed. Yeah. Because like it was pretty confusing. I'm not gonna lie. I got kind of confused at some point, and I had to reread some pages. But also, I did most of my reading when it was slow at the coffee shop that I work at, and so I probably lost focus at points and had to regroup and
could have been a little distracted.
Could have been distracted for sure. Overall, I believe I gave this 4 stars.
I did as well.
3.5 or 4.
I was leaning 4 to 4.5, but I didn't feel like a strong, 5-star reading vibe, so I gave it 4.
So I gave it 4 as well. So that would put it right in between the Secret Project 1, Tress, and Secret Project 2, Wizard's Handbook.
Whatever.
England.
Yeah. But yes.
That one.
Abbreviated.
Yeah. How about you? How was your reading experience?
So this definitely made me want to read more of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere books, because I have read the first book of the
Stormlight Archive?
The Stormlight Archive. I was going to call it The Way of Kings. I've read The Way of Kings, and I read the first book of the Mistborn trilogy. And
Era 1.
Era 1, yeah. And then I've read Tress and this book out of the Cosmere. So I've read 4 Cosmere books all within this year, which is crazy. So this definitely wants me to. I want to read more of the Cosmere books after reading this.
Come to me.
Just because, yeah.
Read me.
That's what it feels like when you read a Cosmere book. You have to read more.
I feel like that was creepy. I'm sorry.
It probably was. It's nightmares. The overall book I loved. The very end, there was something that happened that I didn't love the decision that Brandon Sanderson made. I see why he made it, but I don't love that he did it. And I'll get into that specifically in the spoiler section. So that may have been like what made me lean more towards 4 instead of 5 on the star rating. But overall, like the main arc of the story of the back and forth between Yumi and Painter and their struggles and their character development was just really great. It was really enjoyable to see both of them challenging each other. That they were being challenged by each other's world, and they were being challenged by each other's kind of conflicting personality traits, and forcing each other to grow as a person just by being in continual proximity of one another. In the first half of the book, I preferred Yumi's POV, but by the second half of the book, I preferred Painter's POV, and I think that's because I was able to see more clearly his character development like coming about, and I started preferring that. Not to say that Yumi didn't have character development, because she definitely did. Both of them had strong character development, but I just saw Painter's more vividly, and I don't know, I preferred his POV out of the two, but I liked him both. I think that's all for my like spoilery.
Yeah, I don't know what else I could say that's non-spoiler.
Yeah, it's hard to get into it. Such a fun world.
Oh yeah, the imagery was like the worlds that I guess I'll speak for me because I don't know how your mind works, but the world that I was able to create in my mind because of his words was so vast and beautiful and like vivid yeah. And because you are in Yumi's and Painter's world, it like, and they're so totally different. I don't know. It was really cool. I really enjoyed this book. I don't know that I'll reread it anytime soon, but I did enjoy it. Sorry, one more non-spoilery thing that I could say and will say is when I finished the book, I found out, I don't know if you told me or if I read it somewhere, but
it's at the end of the book on like the Brandon Sanderson's like about writing this book, and then I read that portion and I
don't read those portions. So once I finished the book, she mentioned to me that he was inspired by a lot of anime for this story, mm-hmm. which makes sense because when I was reading it, I couldn't stop thinking that, man, this would adapt so well to an anime. I can't wait to watch this anime. And hopefully one day you anime creators out there will want to create this book as an anime.
Just putting that out there in the world.
So yeah, 3.5 to 4 stars, 4 to 4.5 stars. It's definitely an enjoyable read, worth reading. Definitely check it out. Mm-hmm. And that's all we're going to say for non-spoilers. So this is your official warning. We are now going to start spoilers. So if you don't want those, we'll see you later. Thanks for watching this far. And we'll see you in the next one. 3, 2, 1, spoilers.
Spoilers! I will go ahead and jump into saying that the thing that I didn't love at the end was that Yumi didn't get to pass away after her 2,000 years of having to continually live the same day, essentially, over and over again. Sure, there were some slight variations with what she was seeing because they moved her around, like, mm-hmm. the town a little bit, the different streams, and the amount of spirits that she brought about and things like that. But essentially the same day for 2,000 years. Yeah. And she didn't get any relief from that whenever Painter pulled her back out, like, and into the world, and she decided to stay. I am glad that she gets to experience actual life now, so I'm glad for her for that. But whenever she was watching the TV shows, the dramas as she was calling them, and she was so upset because the two characters didn't get to end up together before the program, like when the program ended, when that season or whatever ended, the characters didn't get to end up together, and Painter told her, I'm so passionate about this, obviously. And Painter told her, sometimes that's just how the story has to end. It's sad, but it still like has a purpose and it brings out meaning or whatever and things like that. And then there was that perfect opportunity for Brandon to, we're on first name basis now, for him to like tie it all together and have Painter experience that firsthand would have been, I feel like, so beautiful and painful. Like I wish he would have broken our hearts by making that happen.
I agree. I think I would have enjoyed the story more. I would have rated it higher had Yumi like
passed away
and Painter goes on his way with this experience that he's had, this crazy world experience. I mean, because she was kept alive in bondage for, I think it was almost 2,000 years, and because Painter was I guess you could call it selfishness, or he was just blinded by love.
I think it was. That. It's just like love. Like obviously, like if you were dying, like I'm gonna give everything in my life to like drag you back.
I just can't live without this girl that I met like 2 months ago.
We would have done the same at 2 months.
Okay, but they don't know our story, and so I feel like I don't know a couple things. I feel like that lacks resolution for me. I feel like there's like that doesn't feel like closure. Like for her to have done her service for so long and to fight this fight and come out victorious, breaking the spell or whatever that was keeping her alive in captivity, and she doesn't get to move on into the afterlife, whatever that looks like in that world. I don't know if that was covered, but so it feels like it lacks closure, and two, it feels like all the danger that they had faced with the nightmares or the other antagonists, which were like scientists or whoever, that there's there's a machine that is basically like harvesting souls.
Yeah.
That like destroyed a whole like kingdom when it was created, destroyed a whole kingdom, and now is like harvesting the souls of that to be more powerful and create a shroud between worlds. And it's kind of hard to explain, so if you're still watching, just read the book.
Just read the book. Brandon Sanderson describes it way better than we do.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't have the book in front of us, and I finished this like 3 weeks ago.
He had to wait on me to finish it for us to do the video.
I finished it first. Anyways, it feels like all of the danger that they faced was cheapened. Like, all of it didn't really matter if Painter could just paint Yumi back into existence. And so I don't know. I really don't like plot armor and like...
I think you're right. I feel like it cheapened the story and that there was just a lack. There was full resolution. It just felt like a flopped resolution.
But also,
I don't know.
It could be said that that's just not the resolution that we wanted.
True.
I'm sure there were plenty of people that read the book that wanted them to end up together.
You know what?
And now they're ecstatic that they get to. But us, when we wanted to have the other side of closure, that feels actually like there are risks and main characters can die, and it just feels like more of a finalized story. That's what we would have wanted, but it's not what we got.
And that's true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's so true. And you saying that makes me actually think that what we wanted, like I said, was what Painter said about the TV dramas, was that they don't always resolve like how you want them to. So we're seeing Painter's point of view. But what he gave us, what Brandon Sanderson gave us as readers, was what Yumi wanted, was the resolution of them ending up together after, because this is like after like the final scene. It's in like the epilogue, right? Where they come together. Is that right?
I don't remember. Because I know there's, in the second epilogue is like Hoyd packing up his stuff and him and Design like going somewhere else.
So you're totally right, because what Brandon Sanderson gave us was what Yumi wanted, Yumi's point of view on the resolution of a story. But what we were seeing was Painter's point of view on the resolution of a story. Is like, we don't always get what you don't always get what you want in the resolution of a story, and we were expecting that. Whereas some people might have been expecting Yumi's point of view in the story, and it's like they have to end up together because that's how stories have to end.
I didn't get that far. Can you tell she was an English major?
Speaking of that, no. Okay. He said that whenever I was telling him something else about the story, about the nightmares and how they feed on people. And so when we're talking about nightmares normally in our world, and we're talking about our dreams and something that's not tangible, but these nightmares are tangible and they get a full corporal form once they continually feed on enough people. And we, as people in the story of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, have to even exist for the nightmares to exist. But sometimes we are not in a state of being, whether that's mentally, emotionally, or physically, to be strong enough to be able to fight for ourselves. So I think in one of the scenes, a nightmare is feeding on someone that is sleeping. And so physically, in that aspect, they're not strong enough to fight for themselves and fend off the nightmare. And most of the time, people are too scared to even move when they're seeing these nightmares because they're so terrifying. And so just like in our world, sometimes we're having a nightmare, whether that's by what is happening in our lives, the trauma we're experiencing, or even just like a real nightmare and somebody wakes us up from our sleep. But I think a lot of the times either mentally or emotionally, like going through something that feels like a living nightmare. Like in these stories, we need other people, like a spouse, a friend, a therapist, to fight on our behalf because we're not strong enough to fend off those nightmares on our own. So our friends or our therapist or, our parents or our siblings, they are those painters in our lives that are fending off those nightmares for us and helping those nightmares turn into something else that we can see as a part of our experience of life, but not something that's feeding off of us and taking away our life.
I kind of want to read books the way that you read books because I want to get a deeper meaning out of a book, but Matt's just like, whoa, that was scary. That was awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is totally
cool
fine
story to read a book that way.
Yeah, I did enough of book analyzation in high school. I don't want to do that anymore, so I'll let her do it.
Which that realization, I was feeling a deeper meaning whenever Brandon Sanderson was describing the emotions tied to these nightmares, but I didn't have that realization, this thought that I just shared until yesterday. And I was reading a completely different book and still thinking about this book. Moving on.
Do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, I really liked design. In my notes, I put that what did I put, actually? Oh, I put that design was a funny stand-in for Hoyd not actually being present in the story because he was a statue.
Yeah, he was a statue that was a coat rack.
Yeah, it was a coat rack. And so in one of the illustrations, before that was necessarily revealed, I was like, what is this guy? Is this guy a statue? What is this guy doing in this illustration? But then it reveals it right after that. But I wrote that she kind of seemed like a funny stand-in for Hoyd, that he just designed himself and then called her design, oh, I'm not going to be in the story, but here's a female version of me.
Yeah, she was a fun character. Yeah. She was one of my favorites. I really like how Brandon Sanderson writes. It's through certain characters like Hoyd or design that are going to be the comedic relief and they're going to have the funny lines. But I like how still through an awesome, action-packed story that one could draw, deeper meanings from, there's still Hoyd and design that are the ha-ha funny make joke people. And
just like an anime would have, that comic, comedic relief whenever everybody's in the middle of these, probably big battles and somebody's coming in and, flopping. Whatever. I don't know. I
think Brandon Sanderson does it well. I think Guardians of the Galaxy tries too hard.
We did not like the most recent movie.
That was...
out of left field.
Out of nowhere. By that, I mean, Guardians 3 was a very dark, thematic movie, but still everyone was trying to crack one-liners, and it just felt weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is a book YouTube channel.
This is well balanced with the, Hoyd humor.
Absolutely. And I think... more than ever, after finishing that, I want to reread the Stormlight Archive.
He's been wanting to the whole time, but TBRs are just so daunting.
Yeah, I've got a whole bookshelf of books I'm supposed to read over there.
More back here.
Which, the book that I'm picking up next actually isn't even on that shelf. I want to talk about the whole plot, but one, it's kind of confusing and I'll probably mess it up. Two, there's a lot of aspects because there's a lot of aspects, I will probably mess it up. But I will say that the antagonist that you think you're going to be fighting against, being the nightmares, is not really the main antagonist. It's these 4 or 5 dudes who created that machine, and then they created a smaller one that I guess is more portable. And so that machine and those scientists become the antagonist.
When science goes awry is the antagonist.
Well, I don't think it's science. I think it's the desire for control and power.
Yes, well, as in...
See, I can get deep too. Anyways, I just want to keep talking about this book, but I feel like I don't want to edit an 1.5 hour long video. So I think we might just have to leave it at that, unless you have anything else you want to add real quick.
No, I think I feel good about all the thoughts that I've said. I've gotten out all my emotions for this book. And
yeah,
I feel
it feels good to finally talk about it.
Yeah. Because we've had small comments about it, but we haven't as thoroughly discussed it as this because we knew we were going to make this video. But I guess if you have more topics on this book that you want to discuss with us, just let us know in the comments, and we will address them in the comments as well, or in future videos if we just get really heated about them like we did some of these.
And finally, we'd be remiss to not acknowledge what has happened to our channel over the last couple of months. Month-ish.
This month, yeah.
So we have a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new people. We're so glad you guys are here. We love seeing, there's been a lot more people commenting on old videos, just chiming in, asking questions, or giving their opinions on stuff. And we love that. We love the engagement and getting to talk to you guys. Mm-hmm. But yeah, our subscriber count has tripled since a certain booktuber who I had been watching for years before we even met.
Yeah.
Since like 2018, I think. I've been watching Murphy Napier for a long time, and she is a big reason as to why I started reading again after college, and a big motivation for me wanting to start this channel. And so, one, just the fact that I know that she is one of our subscribers. She comments on our videos and watches them. I just, Murphy, if you're watching this, you're awesome, number one, and a big inspiration for us. And we love your channel, so keep doing what you're doing. And to all of you who have come from Murphy's channel, thank you so much for giving us a shot, checking us out, and subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing, all the things. And so if you are not subscribed, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, you can give it a like. And be sure to stay tuned, because when that last secret project for the year comes out, I'm sure we will read it and we will give our opinion eventually.
We'll try not to be as slow to get it read.
Hopefully life will be kind to us for the rest of the year, so we will have motivation to do so. And so, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!
Bye!